So going back for the purposes of recording, this is being recorded today. It will be distributed through our normal channels. We have Daniel, Chris, and myself on the line, and we will be popping in to answer questions on the chat and in the Q&A section at the end. We're starting here with the year in review, all of the great updates and resources that have become available throughout 21 and how that impacts the October release. We're starting with Blackthorn Enhanced Email. This has been a great way of working around some of those pesky limitations that Salesforce has. Like in a 24-hour period, you can only send 5,000 emails, and designing them is a real hassle because you have to know HTML or you have to know any number of other services to send it out there, but you also can't track things like open rates and click rates unless you have a connected marketing system. Well, what we've done is work with our customers, with you, our partners in success here, to ensure that, well, you have the ability to do what you need to do in terms of email communications to your event attendees. That means you can design your own emails, send any number of thousands of emails per day, branded with templates and view metrics that make sense for you and your organization. Open rates, click rates, bounce rates are always included here, and it also lowers the risk of being spam because you can actually do things like IP warming and make sure that your IPs are whitelisted when sending them out via this enhanced email function through Salesforce. It would be, it's great to be able to send invitations to all of your attendees to have them attend the event, but it really isn't great if it's stuck in their spam filters or stuck in the spam folder that they only check every month just for the purposes of purging. So this is a great way of really working around those issues and allowing you to integrate this in real time with your connected MarTech stack, whether that's Marketo or Pardot or MailChimp integrations. We've sort of eliminated the need for that, but also enhanced the ability to use them in a better fashion using this enhanced email function. Connected to that, of course, is the email template builder. And I love this thing as a former events professional. It is a drag and drop editor. It truly allows you to, jump in, get your hands dirty, and be able to send your own branded email templates and view the metrics real time if you're using the enhanced email function that we were just talking about a second ago. You don't have to use HTML or CSS to really make these things beautiful. It's drag and drop components at the end of the day. Simple to access. It's right there in the Blackthorn admin tab. You can deploy all the new templates that come with the product. You can create them, categorize them, reuse them. And if you're a user like me who likes things in dark mode on their mobile devices and on their laptop, there's light and dark mode included in there too, which is great because it allows you to reach more audience members that you're trying to get to without being dependent and hoping that, well, maybe they have the right setting and the right app on the right tablet or mobile device to be able to read it properly, to get the message that I'm trying to send across. And all of this information is again stored against the event record as well. So you can choose between these multiple templates in a simple modal structure, send individual emails to certain attendees and not others, or do it through a larger list. This is a really powerful tool, and we've included a URL right there on the slide under the page, showing you a little bit more about how this directly impacts your success metrics over time. It's also something that allows you to not have to become a Salesforce admin right from the start. At the end of the day, Blackthorn products, especially on the event side, are made just to work. We want it to be able to plug in, play, and work with your organization. And this is another way that we're working towards that mission as an organization. Hey, Daniel, I know email template builder is something that you really like and you like to geek out about. Why don't you take yourself off mute, and if you have anything you wanted to say on it, feel free.
Yeah, so I was just looking at Maria's question in the chat also. So we really created an easy way for customers to create these email templates and then plug into the previous slide using basically SendGrid functionality to be able to send these email templates and then see all these metrics in the SendGrid sub account. So as opposed to kind of trying to figure this out either through Salesforce or some other system, kind of everything is able to be configured, and then you would just review dashboards kind of out of the box in SendGrid, which allows you to get right all sorts of information like Matt mentioned before, bounce rates and things like that. So yeah, it's easy to use, easy to review if it's working or not, easy to adjust from there.
Yeah. Hey, Daniel, there was actually a question that Steve just threw into the chat that I'm hoping you might be able to answer to. For everyone who can't see the chat window, it says, do you have to have a SendGrid agreement or license, or is usage included in the Blackthorn agreement or license?
Yep. So the SendGrid, can't speak exactly to the licensing, but there is a sub account that is part of the feature being turned on. So I would have to clarify the pricing for the SendGrid piece.
Yeah, the usage isn't included. We don't have like a platform-wide SendGrid payment that we do. So every customer is on their own contract. That could change in the future. We were kind of holding on that till we had a bigger customer base, which is kind of getting there. But for now, it's between you and SendGrid for the pricing. Their pricing out of the box is already pretty aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Thanks, Chris, and thanks, Daniel, for answering those questions. Steve, happy you got what you needed there. Maria, and Daniel just sent you over something from our Blackthorn documentation as well on enhanced emails to help you out. So in addition to all these great email tools that came out, we also did some enhancement on the payment side around Stripe Checkout, specifically with Stripe Checkout for PayLink, securely accepting online payments from anywhere in the world. And, payments is one of these areas that's really close to our hearts. And doing it through Stripe Checkout allows us to reach a broader and wider audience than we would have before. It supports currencies around the world, 25 languages, 135 of them, just like it says here on the slide. And if you go to our content hub, again, it's just blackthorn.io/content-hub, you'll actually be able to see an email of Stripe Checkout with PayLink in action. It's also on our YouTube channel if you're interested in learning a little bit more about it. But it's all about optimization of the buyer experience and reduction of errors and the ability to process payments faster, right? So reducing the number of barriers and the amount of time it takes for you to access the funds and revenue that really are yours at the end of the day. You may have also heard that Blackthorn acquired a really cool new company called PCI-Fi that has two apps on the App Exchange. There's the primary PCI-Fi app as well as secure attachment. Together, these allow you to search for and mask or delete, depending upon your business operation, any PCI or PII related data that is stored within your Salesforce environment. It's really cool. So if somebody accidentally sends you a picture of their credit card as an attachment to the email, guess what? This can be found and it can be automatically masked for you. You can also block customers from emailing those screenshots to you forever. We can audit your Salesforce environment in real time as well as in manual, searching specific objects or records for those initial scans and then doing the follow-up accordingly. And again, having automated processes on the back of that too. So masking that credit card data, masking bank routing numbers, masking social security numbers or other really important identity markers that you may need access to at some point as an organization, but for compliance purposes, absolutely cannot keep it within your Salesforce org in an unmasked setting. And it goes way beyond finance. While it may have started there, anything in your system that needs to be found and masked can be done using PCI-Fi and secure attachment. And oh, by the way, you're going to find out a little bit more about this later. There's a brand new name coming for it soon too, just Blackthorn Compliance. Look out for more on that in the near future. You'll see it again on our social channels coming in the next few weeks. Hey, Chris, I don't know if you can unmute yourself, but I know PCI-Fi and Blackthorn Compliance as a whole is really close to your heart. Is there anything you wanted to add about this acquisition and how it can help enhance the experience for all of Blackthorn's customers?
Yeah, The reason I wanted to buy this from Matt, he was the head of the company, was because it doesn't require any integration. So all you do is install it and the thing just goes. And what it does is it'll scan your org for any matching regex patterns. So it's like if you think of any pattern, like find me the pattern of AAABBB, and it'll search your whole org for credit card numbers or social security numbers that are matching that pattern, and it'll change them to asterisks. So like immediately you'll be in compliance, and then going forward, all you have to do is turn it on and it works. So because all of our apps revolve around shuffling money, it seems like a natural addition to the stack because no one wants raw credit card numbers in the org. Additionally, there's an add-on that uses the Google Vision API. So it'll send your attachment, which can be almost any file type, to the Vision API. And it will either allow you to delete the attachment or just flag it. So you can see it in a report. We can't change the contents of the attachment. We just can't. A bit on this, we reviewed it with our PCI auditor, and we have a letter that we can issue you if you want that says it's, I don't know, it's unofficial term, but kosher for PCI. You don't really get like a PCI DSS that has to do with like, masking data, but we can send it to you. It goes in, it helps you become more compliant.
Exactly. So cool. Elwin, you asked the question too of if this is a separate app with licensing. It is for now. But it's certainly something that we encourage you to speak with your customer success manager here at Blackthorn. So connect to Michael, Kalen, or Katie, and they are more than equipped to have the conversation with you to see how it can value your specific organization at the end of the day. And again, this is for everyone on the call. It doesn't really matter your industry, whether you are selling widgets or insurance all the way through to higher education. There's data that you need masked and shouldn't be in your environment. This is a tool that can really help you remain compliant at the end of the day. More on PCI-Fi and Blackthorn compliance coming up in the very, very near future. So watch this space when it comes to it.
Matt, I just wanted to add one thing from a technical perspective. This is really a plug and play solution and tool for this. I know it's not really in the points here, but it is very simple to use. It's once installed, kind of off and running, and doesn't take a lot of configuration or management. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that as an additional value add to PCFI and its value to this group of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And Daniel, I think you're going to talk about the next one here, which is the Blackthorn Event Wizard, which came out earlier this year. So Daniel, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, sure. So this is, Chris and I can split this one, but this is really a big effort we've put into Blackthorn Events for 2021. And the goal was, right, for people who are event organizers, people who maybe aren't Salesforce certified or know Salesforce, right? It can be cumbersome to go object to object, set up relationships, make sure all the data is correct, right? That's kind of a pain. So what we decided was, let's create a wizard for easy step-by-step configuration. So event organizers can easily come in, click event wizard, and be able to create events simply, easily in a step-by-step. Yeah, I love that. The wizard is awesome. So in an easy way for people, right? And so this has come out probably for a few months. We've continued to iterate on it, continued to make enhancements to it. And there's a lot of really exciting things that are in the pipeline for Event Wizard as well. I don't know, Chris, if you want to add anything from your side or from more of a product side.
Yeah, so what we've learned is our payments app tends to be more of a technical product. The people who use it are Salesforce gurus, and then they show their end users how to use the terminal or whatever. People who do stuff with events apps, they're coming from Eventbrite, they're coming from Cvent. These are apps that you need to know nothing about relational databases. You just click a button and it works. So our goal with the wizard is not just to have anybody, regardless of Salesforce knowledge, be able to use this with no training at all, but you'll never have to reference documentation. So there's a reason that Daniel's team is now 35 people. Our engineering team is bigger than most ISV employee counts, I guess. The reason is because we're aiming for this product-led growth mindset. That the way you want to think about it is self-service. So we're not scaling an army of salespeople, we're scaling an army of engineers, because the event wizard is about to go 3x. It's getting redesigned using entirely the Lightning design system. And every function you need to do in the wizard will be here, completely building all of your forms, going through our full email flow. And then we have our other updates that are coming from Matt later, but it's going to be our biggest investment as a feature that we've ever done.
Yeah. It's a fantastic tool. And, I come from a events management and corporate events background before entering in the Salesforce ecosystem. And if we had had this tool 8, 9, 10 years ago, when I was working in higher ed or when I was working in NGOs doing program management, it would have been an absolute game changer. And so the ability to be able to log in without really knowing that much about Salesforce and still get a beautiful event created quickly and simply using the steps that you need and nothing more to get it out to your audience. I mean, that's fantastic. And it's all about digital acceleration at the end of the day, making sure that you can get what you need out of Blackthorn quickly to enhance the experience for your organization and your events attendees. And this is a great way of doing it. So the event wizard is a great step into what we're going to talk about now, which is ultimately the 21 release, right? October 21 release. How cool is this? So for those of you who have been to our event checkout page, you may have seen a cool video, but for those of you who haven't, here's a quick little teaser about what we're going to discuss. All right. That's it, guys. We have events checkout, or the checkout experience 2.0. It is soon going to be in your hands. October 12th will be the day it is launched. We're so excited for this new experience. You saw some great features in there, including some sessions at checkout, the ability to add in one-time or recurring donations, the ability to do upsell and cross-sell products. This is a fantastic, fantastic enhancement to the checkout experience here in Blackthorn. There are 2 different parts to this and a lot of different elements and features that are going to come out in both parts. And Daniel, I'm going to flip over to the next slide and let you take it away with some of the excellent, excellent portions of the events checkout experience.
Sure. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, so it's kind of a good segue from Event Wizard. So there's kind of 2, really 3 pieces to what we're doing for the Event Checkout 2.0. So on the Event Wizard, right, we're going to be able to allow the creators of the event to be able to add sessions for tickets, right, all in the Event Wizard. So the ability to add the sessions, free, paid, right, all that stuff configuration-wise will be available to do on the Event Wizard. There shouldn't be, again, any reason for event organizers to have to do this through standard Salesforce. It's not even, that's not the goal. So once it's been set up by them, then they will see this new UI for the attendees, right, on the attendee experience side. They'll be able to select tickets. Once they select the tickets, they'll be able to select sessions related to the tickets and see them in the order summary and then check out with those. So the sessions, again, some of the points you might have seen in the demo there are the ability to search. You can add all sessions. There's a bunch of really interesting ways you can slice and dice the ticket types, the session types, and all this stuff for the initial release.
Yeah. One of the great add-ons here that Daniel, I think you're about to get to, is in the next section. There's that final bullet point around multi-day and single day tickets and track use, right? So you can add, make some sessions available only to some ticket types. Isn't that correct? And then you can make some available to all ticket types. So this means that if you have a multi-day event and you want to provide single day tickets alongside that, you're able to do that by allowing individual day ticket types. It's a really cool game changer if you have any sort of larger scale trade shows or even academic conferences where individuals are presenting on certain days and not on others. Back over to you, Daniel, to enhance it a little bit more.
Oh, that's great. Lots of great questions in the chat. Thanks, Chris, for answering some of these.
Yeah.
Sure.
So this is part one of the release here, correct? This is what's coming out October 12th, which is next week, and there's no additional licensing required for it. It's all being pushed directly to the App Exchange.
That's right.
And so let's talk about what's coming in the second part, right? So part one is all about sessions. It's all about enhancing that checkout UX. And then if we move into part two.
Yeah, so two pieces that are going to come in part two, the two big ones are really the donation piece, being able to, you can see it in the screenshot here, be able to have donations as part of the checkout experience. And then additionally below that, in this scenario, it's a book example of product, can be a service as well, being able to have that as well as part of this new checkout. So you can cross-sell, upsell with that ability, and then you can also take donations, which will target by December, but potentially before then.
So just to recap that back a little bit then, so sessions and the related session checkout experience is coming next week, October 12th. And then we are targeting in Q4. Currently it's December, but if we can bring it up to November, we will. The remainder of what you saw in that teaser, that is the donations, that is the upsell and cross-sell items, all in one great checkout experience. I want to switch over to a couple of the questions and comments before we move into the next section. Again, Chris, thank you very much for answering a lot of them in real time. You're a star as always. So, you know, there was a great question here that I think is going to be across a lot of people's minds about whether or not the payments and donation section is optional because they only offer free events using the Blackthorn product. And the answer, I believe, is yes. Correct, Chris and Daniel? It's if you don't have any donations or if you don't have any upsell items, you can continue with free events and sessions just like you are now.
Oh yeah, I answered all these down to Elwin's at the bottom with the screenshots for session filtering. Do you have those later in the presentation?
We do not have any screenshots for session filtering specifically, but we can get those and send them over to Elwin. So we'll do that, and we'll do that with your customer success manager. That's no problem. I do want to highlight Maria and Morella's great comments here. Neat feature and love this. It's really happy to have that instant feedback and know that we're on the right path for you two and your organizations. That's really great. Dwayne just asked a question. Will there still be single page registration options? Chris or Daniel?
Sorry, I was reading another one.
Daniel, why don't you jump in and answer this one? Are we getting rid of single page registration, even though we're adding session checkout experience?
We're not. So there's still one of the UI experiences will still allow for the single page checkout for free tickets. So that would skip this session functionality.
Cool. And then there is a great answer. Oh, great, Chris, you just answered Renee's overlap logic question. Yes, yeah. Renee, please message Chris directly. It would be great to have that additional information on what you're asking for, and we can, if it's not already there, we can look at how we might be able to enter it into the product going forward.
Yeah, I threw my email in the chat. If anybody has anything you want as a feature request, then just email me. It's chris@blackthorn.io. We're adding 5 other Chris's now. So for now, I'm like the product person. But we're adding literally 5 people right now. So for now, just email me. It's fine.
Yeah, great. And then Daniel added some great information here to the full width UI plus free single ticket and the simple UI with free single ticket. These will skip the session checkout. If there's no sessions, it's not going to appear. Simple as that.
And just a note to everybody real quick. A lot of the questions you're asking are enhancements on what we're trying to do. Our initial release here was to replicate our existing checkout, but then add the ability to do sessions during the checkout. There's been questions about like overlapping sessions and when does that matter and are you allowed to do that, and are there certain sessions that are required or can it be conditional, and like these are the things that we need to accrue. So if something's important to one customer out of like over 150 that we have now, it probably won't happen. But if we get 10, 20, 30 people the same thing asking for the same thing, then it happens. So we have an ideas portal that we've created where people can vote up, but also just email me and we'll give it consideration and we'll get it in the queue as well. So maybe I'm a bit opinionated, but if I love the idea, regardless of who asks, how many there are, then we'll just put it in. Otherwise, maybe we'll put it in the ideas portal if it's something that's like hugely complex, but it needs a lot of people to kind of chime in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually, you literally stole most of the words from my mouth with your comment there. This is meant to be an iterative process. This isn't something that we're putting out once and then it remains static for all intents and purposes going forward. This is designed to give you a baseline of functionality, which we'll be enhancing over time. And if anybody has a moment, please add a link to the ideas portal into the chat here. It's just so that we can further enable people like Ashley and Dwayne and Elwin, who are asking great questions, to be able to put those ideas directly on there for future consideration. So without further ado, though, because this is an iterative process and it's all about growth and it's all about the dynamism that is, these sorts of SaaS applications, I'm going to turn it over to Chris. And Chris, I think you have a special message on how Blackthorn is going to grow throughout the rest of 2021 into 22 and, well beyond. Over to you.
No pressure. Is there any way to stop this screen share?
Hang on 1 second for me.
Cool. I find it, I don't know, more intimate or less distracting or something when there's something on the screen. So I started the company 6 years ago with the goal to make apps just work without having to have like massively complex implementations that you don't have to add tons of features to just make it happen. And that's still where we're driving towards. So payments and events was our first foray into getting into this. And as we've gone along, at least half of our customers are across nonprofit and higher ed now. So a lot of what they're asking for have tended to be what's driving a lot of the roadmap. But within these, we found a lot of segments of functionality that people want, regardless of the vertical that they're operating in, regardless of the industry. So the reason we scaled engineering so big and the reason we're adding more product managers is because we're adding a lot more products. So by mid next year, and this is going to be phased. It's not like just mid next year, everything comes out. We're going to have at least 7 apps. There's an 8th that we might do. So we'll have payments and events, and that will have a sub app to do virtual. If you're familiar with like On24 or Hopin or Eventbrite has something for this now, or Hubelo, and there's like 30 of them now. We have something very big coming out for that. So you'll be able to chat with other attendees. You'll be able to modulate chats. You'll have it as a one-to-one. You'll have it in a main stage. You'll have one-to-one video. You'll be able to integrate with the Zoom SDK. You can create profiles. People can elect to hide their email or show their email. You'll have like a main stage people go to. You'll get metrics as to how long someone stayed in a session and how long if they didn't. You'll have metrics then as to who elected to talk to someone else because it's a two-sided opt-in. So then in your own org's native data, you'll see who's the most popular person at your event. And you'll see who's staying the longest in all of your events. You'll see people's interests. So then you'll automatically be able to filter who you want to market future stuff to, because now you can see who built their schedule around what. We're also going to be refactoring our donations app. So currently it's locked to NPSP with Stripe. We're refactoring it so it's object structure agnostic. So it won't require NPSP and it will support all of our payment methods. Our PCI-Fi app is getting relabeled to compliance. It's focusing on cards and social security, but the more things that we can do with regex is the more applications we can find for it. And that then brings us into new stuff. So very soon we'll have Blackthorn SMS. So you'll be able to send text messages right from Salesforce. So if you have like someone that you want to announce that an event registration is now open, or someone's on the main stage, or you want to do text to give, or you want to communicate with your students, if you're at higher ed or whatnot, you can do SMS. We're also going to be pulling our custom questions out of events and re-injecting them back into events. So you won't see like a licensing or like access change or something like that. It won't change the flow of how that's working. But what you'll get then is a separate app that's acting just as a form builder, which is going to be Blackthorn Forms. So we'll have a new UI in there that you can pre-fill fields, make landing pages on your own. You can inject an iframes submission form, just like form assembly, form stack, form titan, all these, but the app's going to be entirely native to Salesforce, and it will work with all of our checkouts to take a payment. It'll work with our relationship settings. It's going to work with our new translation engine. So I don't know if we've talked about this much, but Daniel, I think we're trying to get this out for November for translation, right? So we're adding static sentence and paragraph translation. So if you have, we had the Google Translate API because it was fast. Then we added the data dictionary for relabeling. The next thing we're adding onto that then is this static translation. So if you're hosting a 2-language or 3-language or 4-language event, you'll be able to take the event description and statically translate it to whatever you want. Same thing with like the session description or a question's possible answers to pick from. Like everything on there, you'll be able to translate. This was a pretty big feature we have. This is getting released into a base package we're releasing. So it's going to be able to be used across all of our applications. So everything's growing in a pretty big way. We then also heard that a lot of people have these digital goods that they want to sell. Continuing education, executive education, some kind of learning, something or other where you get credits. The cloud craze B2B and the demandware B2C Salesforce products are exceptionally expensive. They take a very long time to implement. So we're also going to be releasing Blackthorn Commerce. So you'll be able to list all your products, throw up a store, go through the checkout, and buy multiple courses at once, right? That's phase 1. Phase 2 brings in then other things that people look for, like recommended products, or if there's something else that's unique, you can fire in emails to me if you have like any kind of requests for that. Because 4 or 5 of our products then need to do payments, we're going to be internally making our checkout be callable as like a headless checkout. So if you're familiar with Stripe checkout, how you just send it data and the thing like does a checkout, we have to make this internally. Otherwise we end up with 5 code bases for doing a payment. So we'll have our own headless checkout, and we're thinking of having like a Blackthorn checkout product for that, but I don't know if anybody would use it, but internally it's something we're going to have. So if you do have thoughts on if you would want to have that, maybe this is more of a developer-esque question, but let me know if that's something for consideration. Something that we won't be doing unless we magically see something for sale and pick it up is table and seating charts. The amount of time to build something like social tables or the Eventbrite table and seating chart. If you ever use the Eventbrite table seating chart, it is work of art. It's incredible. We won't be building that. It is enormous. So yeah, that's That's my thing. So where we're going with this is you'll end up with two kind of areas, like a long grid of what our apps do and what the features are, which is more like tech oriented. And then there's the storytelling approach we'll have, that if you're in a nonprofit or higher ed or other industries, it will say, for this function, here's the Blackthorn app that can achieve this function as part of your customer or constituent journey.
That's amazing. I mean, we're gonna be like kids in a candy shop, Chris. This is gonna be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it.
The way that I gauge that, initially I wanted to create a company where we wouldn't go out of business because we ran out of money. We fixed that one, which is good. So now we're good on that one. Now the second goal of the company is that if any of you have ever like unboxed an Apple product, or you've sat in a brand new car, like it just feels good, right? There aren't many business apps that make you feel good. You usually install them and you're like, oh my God, I have to go find the documentation. I want our apps to feel good. So when you like install them and start using them, you're like, this is great. So that's the goal of where we're trying to go. That's why we're looking for all this feedback. And that's why we're filling these product gaps so you have one vendor that you don't have to integrate tons of stuff and the thing just works.
That's amazing. So I know you asked me to turn off the screen share, but I do have a summary.
Yeah, go for it. Thank you.
Of what you were just saying. So a lot of what you said is here, we're continuing to upgrade, enhance the core apps that we have, right? So Blackthorn Events, Blackthorn Payments, donations, making it not NPSP dependent over time. And of course, enhancing PCI-Fi as Blackthorn compliance. And then we have the virtual event sub app, which Chris just mentioned, video chat, session nav. If you really want to get hardcore into the details of what's coming, please email Chris. I think chris@blackthorn.io. He would love to nerd out with you on this. We have some SMS and texting capabilities coming out, the forms, which Steve, I know you're really keen to dive into as well. And then commerce as here, again, that B2B or B2C online shopping cart experience, basically Blackthorn as Shopify on Salesforce, but designed for a much, much easier user experience at the end of the day. And
something I forgot, Matt, to add. So there is like a circle that goes around this whole thing in the form of a authenticated portal. So virtual conferencing, the way this is going to start is using our attendee link feature. So we've added a feature into it that you can't access attendee link by more than one IP at once. So it's a form of a layer of authentication, but it's not as good as a username and password or something like a Google SSO or a phone number with a 2FA or something like that. So initially it's going to be attendee link. In the same stream, we're developing a portal that will allow you to create your own branded portal having nothing to do with communities, texting through Twilio. Yes, through Twilio.
Yep.
But so is virtual is going through Twilio as well to do like chats and one-on-one video and so forth. We'll have like a usage-based pricing because it can't be user-based. Like if you have 5 users and you're doing 1 million videos, like we'll end up paying 5x the cost of what you're paying us. So we're figuring out how to structure that. Anyway, for the portal, it's having nothing to do with communities and community licensing. So this is going to allow your attendees to log into this area to then see their profile, their settings. So if they want to show or hide something, which complies with GDPR and data privacy, and then also to extend commerce into it. You can see your past purchases, your stored payment methods, and so forth. The nice thing is that you can then include this functionality in Experience Cloud. So the way that our events app works today is that we have a Lightning Web component that's authentication aware. When someone logs into Experience Cloud, it's a contact that has a contact ID. In the web component, what happens is that we pass that contact ID and it gains the context of the contact. We're then querying the attendees to then show the attendee, here's the events you've registered for. Here's everything that belongs to you. Same exact thing with these other applications. So if you then have virtual conferencing within Experience Cloud, it'll work identically and someone won't know the difference. Same thing with commerce and so forth. The reason we did it this way is because a lot of our customers have said, we don't have Experience Cloud, we don't want to use it. or it's really expensive, or whatever the reason is. There's been revenue reasons why we haven't done this. Additionally, it takes a long time to set the thing up. So with this, you'll just be able to hit some buttons and it'll work, but it'll still be compatible with Experience Cloud, with Salesforce being the system of record. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Awesome. I mean, that's amazing. And I'm so happy that we have this recorded. So that can be out there and reviewed. So all of these great enhancements, everything that Chris just mentioned and that we've elaborated on and that Daniel mentioned earlier with the specific October and Q4 releases, we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you guys. So I start with thank you, and I think it's really important that we end with a thank you, because it's your ideas and your feedback that absolutely inform our roadmap and our growth. And we're here to be partners in your success at the end of the day. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We are a little bit over time, and I do apologize for that. What I'd like to do is keep the bridge open to everybody who would like to remain to ask a few questions until the top of the hour. So that's 10 more minutes. For more information, please go to blackthorn.io/event checkout. That's where you can see the teaser video that we showed a little bit earlier on and a lot of the information we shared today. You can also go in about an hour to blackthorn.io/product updates. This is a great place for you to see a recorded version of the vision that Chris just stated, as well as some more information about what's coming up in our future releases. And of course, our content hub, which has success stories, white papers, and any amount of information really highlighting you, the customer community, our partners who work with Blackthorn, and the success that you're having with our different products. Now, I know Brenda and others are really keen to figure out where you can get these Blackthorn t-shirts. We will try to figure out a way to get these to be a little bit more customer facing, but you can get all sorts of Blackthorn swag at some of our coming up events. We'll be at Florida Dreamin' and Tahoe Dreamin' at the end of the month, the 28th, 29th in Orlando and in Tahoe or the Reno area respectively. And then Jeremy just asked a really good question here. Will there ever be functionality that allows us to have some control over what information is available on the Blackthorn check-in app? Ooh, that is a good one. Chris, Daniel, you guys want to take that?
What was the question again? Sorry.
Will there be the functionality to allow the customer to control what information is available at the check-in app?
I'd love to know, like, what?
So let me do this. I'm going to see if I can allow people to unmute themselves. And then Jeremy, if you can hear.
The check-in app, we're going to be adding a kiosk mode, by the way. So you'll be able to hit like kiosk mode, flip it sideways, throw it up for people to search for themselves and check themselves in. If you've ever been to like one of the free Salesforce events, it'll do the same thing as like a kiosk mode. But like, what would you want to change in check-in?
So give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to try to see if I can allow people to unmute themselves. So, hey, Jeremy, can you try to unmute yourself and just elaborate on your question a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So we just have some use cases where we have some events where we kind of just use table numbers, seating arrangements. So when we check people in, that we sent emails out to let people know where they're seated as well, but some people don't get those right away, or most people ask when they come up to registration, where am I seated? And so we had to switch back and forth between the check-in app and the Salesforce app in order to give them or have a piece of paper. So just being able to have a little control to add a custom field to what's available right there. So when we check them in, we can also see that custom information there as well.
Would you want us to be effectively like including a bunch of the attendee fields in the check-in app? That's kind of what you're asking for? Essentially, yeah, just to make it kind of like where we could choose what fields we pull in from the attendee. Sure. We could add something like that. Okay. I don't know if that's useful for anybody else, but for us, we've run into it a couple of times so far. We had mixed stuff where people say like, oh, can I have company? Oh, can I have this one? Oh, can I have this one? And I mean, it's definitely come up. That's a good approach if we had something that allowed people to just pick which fields we put in the app. And when you load the app, we query it by the org to see which one should be in there, and those get shown.
Yeah. Chris, you're getting a lot of traction on this idea in the chat here from other people. So let's work on getting that into the ideas board and seeing how we can push it forward. Thank you, Jeremy, for that. That's really cool.
Yep, thank you.
There was another question from Leah Thornton, and Leah, I'm going to ask you if you're comfortable to unmute yourself, but the question was, will conferences in 22 allow for multiple levels of security / access per ticket type, like a voting delegate versus a non-voting delegate? Do you mean in terms of what the sessions that they can register for, or is there a little bit more that you're looking for?
Hey, yes, thanks. A little bit more. So I work for a union. We're a nonprofit, but we also do a lot of work with the Democratic Party. And we basically are having to pivot to hybrid or 100% virtual. And one of the things we've noticed is not being able to like lock certain things without using an outside vendor, like if we just used you, we couldn't lock who is able to purchase a certain ticket, or we could, but then once they access a virtual platform, it's kind of like no hold bar. And we need to be able to, per our bylaws and governing docs, make sure that those security measures are in place, but we still need to be transparent and open to the public, members who are paying dues members or people in the community. So when we're having when we have an in-person event, that's easy with security sometimes. And then there are times when we're virtual where someone will get a link and they'll somehow get like a password and they'll be able to get access to, everything. So just wondering if that's something that will be more easily able to secure going forward.
So it's effectively like member versus non-member could attend or not attend the event.
Yeah, and then within that subcategory, there are delegates within membership.
Yeah, we do that concept today with conditional ticket pricing, and that's been extended into conditional session pricing now during checkout. We could add a feature.
All of our events are currently free, so we don't have pricing at all.
That's fine. But what I'm saying is we would extend that same concept to then lock someone out if they didn't match a certain criteria. So we have a field on the contact that we call visibility control. So you would add whatever person type that is onto visibility control, and then you would have your something on the event, either at the event level or at the ticket level, some access level, and it's inclusive then. So it does like a key value pair. So if on the event item, if it says like person of AB can access the event and the contact has AB, it lets them in. Otherwise, if it's type CD and it has to be AB, then it could block. Like, would something like that work?
That works. And I'm thinking that would also work really well with the SMS feature that's coming too. So yeah, thank you.
Okay. Logging this one here. Thanks.
Just going to jump through a couple of questions here quickly. And Leah, thank you for that. We really appreciate it. And just so everyone knows, this is being recorded. It will be sent out. If there are questions that we don't get to in the next couple of minutes, we will make sure to pass them along and try to answer them to you via email or via your CSM after today's meeting, so we don't leave you hanging. So next question, is there a plan to give options for updating Salesforce contact info when someone registers for an event? There's been different variations of this question in the chat, so I'm just curious. When it comes to the forms during event registration, guys, are any of those options on the near-term roadmap, or should we be telling people to wait for Blackthorn forms when it comes out next year? Daniel, any thoughts on that?
Thought that was a Chris question. Sorry.
Chris.
All right, I'm answering questions all over the place.
This is a multimedia experience. You got to be logged in and seeing the questions and on the video. It's basically when are there
changing?
Yeah.
So Changing sessions, if it's free, then you can do that today with Attendee Link. You can unregister and register for a new one. If it's paid, we don't have any money manipulation stuff. We don't have any like auto credit refund, stuff like that. So we don't have an answer for changing paid sessions. For form answers, there's a lookup on event. That's the post, or it's on event item, one of those. It's called like post registration form or something.
Yep.
You can fill out custom questions today using that form. The thing it doesn't do is pre-fill existing answers like into the form. So I don't know if that's part of what you would be looking for. And registering a guest after the registration, we've done 0 with that, but it's a bit of a black hole because people often have limits. Like you can bring 1 person, or if you bring this ticket, then you can bring 4 people, or like these people don't need an email address because it's a kid or something. Like there's a lot of nuance to it. So if you have any specifics on any of those, Tim, if you could email me, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, fantastic. And then Peggy, for your question, please email directly if you have some very specific use cases in mind that you like to talk about. And then we're going to end it here with one final thing. Chris's email, as he's put into the chat for anybody who wants to know, is chris@blackthorn.io. But Tim, Peggy, please reach out to him with your specific use cases. And again, I wanted to thank everybody for your time and attendance today. Your questions have been amazing. Your interaction has been fantastic. Daniel, Chris, thanks for joining and co-hosting today's webinar. And we look forward to an amazing October 12th release date next week, the rest in Q4, and then a fantastic 2022 where we release all these new features and the Blackthorn solution will be permeating through all of your orgs. It's going to be fantastic. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day, great weekend, and early happy Halloween, everybody. Bye-bye.